Good evening, everyone. I'm Krista Kim, and you're watching K12 CyberTalk, where we want you to stay aware to show you care. We are thrilled to have you here today, our very last show for this season. In fact, we have some very wonderful content just for you. Just a friendly reminder, we are live every other Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST or 5 p.m. PST. To check out all of our past videos from this season, make sure to follow our social media and website at www.k12cybertalk.org to follow for more updates and resources. For our final show, we have a very special guest from CompTIA, Mr. Eric Larson. Mr. Larson is the Senior Director of IT Futures Lab at Creating IT Futures. Mr. Larson has over 20 years of experience in journalism and nonprofit service. He has led the creation of many curricula for adult computer learners in recent years, and he is also heading efforts aimed at attracting more youth to careers in technology. Wow, what an amazing guest. We are very honored to have you here today. Now, Mr. Larson has certifications such as CompTIA Project Plus and CompTIA Strata to go along with his outstanding accomplishments. This made me very curious, and I wanted to ask our hosts, have you guys ever taken a certification test? How was it, and can you explain your experience to the audience? And do you have any tips?
So I'll start off, but I did take the A+ certification exam where both the hardware and software course for A+, and was able to pass both. But one thing I noticed was the software test was kind of similar to how we would learn, well, the information that we would learn in Cyber Patriot, and I was able to use I was able to use the knowledge from Cyber Patriot into the software test, while I had to separately study for the hardware test.
As for me, I've actually never taken a certification exam before, but I also agree with Tim from what my friends in Cyber Patriot have said before, that the software test is very similar to what you would learn in Cyber Patriot. So for those of you who are competing, I think there'd be a good chance to go into that test. What about you, Sky?
Like Anna, I've never taken a certification exam, but I did take a CCNA course in high school, and that was a preparatory class for a certification exam. And I think the material was really helpful for Cyber Patriot, at least. So I do think that preparing for a certification exam or even taking the exam would be very beneficial to students who are looking to do competitive cybersecurity as well. What about you, Bethany?
I have taken the A+ certification exam, and similarly to Tim, I found it very similar to what we did in Cyber Patriot, but also it was very similar to all the coursework that we did throughout it. So as long as I just paid attention throughout the class and the coursework of what I was doing leading up to the certification, which made it easier to pass.
Wow, I'm glad our hosts were able to pass these certification exams as well too. We will also be doing a t-shirt giveaway. So if you email your experience about taking a certification test at info@k12cybertalk.org, we will choose 2 lucky winners and we will send a shirt. So now, on to the exciting part with Cyber Bites with Bethany.
So on Friday, May 7th, there was a ransomware attack that caused the largest pipeline in the US, or the oil pipeline, to close down. So this was the Colonial Pipeline, and this supplied 50% of the oil to the East Coast, as well as it produced 202.5 million barrels of oil a day. So it was it's a very key pipeline for the United States. So the US has never faced a ransomware attack like this before, and it really shows how vulnerable the US can be to these types of attacks. And it's also considered one of the most harmful ransomware attacks that has happened in history. The Colonial Pipeline also helps supply a lot of the oil to the Gulf Coast, as well as major airports in the United States. So having this pipeline shut down is probably going to put a damper on a lot of people's summer plans, with gas prices about to be on the rise, as well as oil not being able to be supplied to airports. So this attack is a massive hit to the US economy. And as I said, people will most likely see an increase in gas prices. And the Colonial Gas line has not given an estimate about when they think it will be open again. Currently, the cybersecurity firm FireEye is working with the US government to handle this ransomware attack. A ransomware attack is when an outside party will hack into a company's data and they will encrypt it, and then they will demand the money for the information to be decrypted later. So the group has been figured out to be called the dark side, and they've also been linked to a lot of other high-profile attacks that have happened within the US. A lot of details about the attack have not been released to the public yet, although most cybersecurity specialists are assuming that this probably started with a phishing scheme where they sent an email or somehow were able to get some of their system through an email downloaded to be able to get into the system, which allowed them to get to their data. So the Colonial Pipeline attack very much highlights how vulnerable the United States is to these cybersecurity attacks. And currently within the United States, there are over 300,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs. So right now we're on pace to see more of these attacks, and some similar to, we will see attacks very similar to SolarWinds. They could start happening to the US, and that's the track that we are on right now if we don't get more people into these cyber jobs. So with proper phishing training and secured systems where malware will not be able to enter the system is what can help prevent these attacks. Because attacks like the ones that happened on the Colonial Pipeline are completely preventable as long as proper cybersecurity is being kept up.
Thank you, Bethany, for a really interesting Cyberbyte story this week. And for the technology section, we'll be doing an eMates demo. So I'll be sharing my screen so you guys can see the demo.
What is the truth about cryptocurrency? 21st century unicorn? Currency of the future? Just a scam? Internet money? Ways to pay for illegal transactions? Today, cryptocurrencies have become a global phenomenon known to most people, while still somehow geeky and not understood by most people. Many banks, governments, and companies are very aware of its importance and have joined in on the cryptocurrency phenomenon. Cryptocurrency provides a means of carrying out a transaction digitally. Cryptocurrency is a digital asset designed to work as a medium of exchange that uses strong cryptography to secure financial transactions. The value and uniqueness of cryptocurrencies is the way it is tracked and recorded. All transactions, whether a credit card purchase, check, or cash, are recorded by a ledger. Typically, the date, description, type, amount, and balance of the transaction is recorded in a ledger. These ledgers are typically centralized and managed by individuals, banks, and businesses involved in the transaction. All cryptocurrencies use the blockchain system. This system consists of electronic transactions as ledger entries in the blockchain ledger. However, each entry is encrypted using the SHA-256 hash algorithm. The transactions are recorded in a decentralized ledger. When Alice sells Bob a bag of apples for 3 bitcoins, Alice's balance goes up by 3 bitcoins and Bob's goes down by 3 bitcoins. There is no gold or government money exchanges. All cryptocurrencies use the blockchain ledger system. This ledger is updated and electronically copied and disseminated worldwide to anyone belonging to the blockchain network. So, with cryptocurrency transactions, users connect directly to each other in peer-to-peer transactions with a degree of anonymity. No banks, no governments, and no central authority. There are now nearly 1,500 cryptocurrencies, although very few have seen widespread adoption. More than 150 million cryptocurrency addresses have been created. The total investment in cryptocurrency is over $180 billion, down from $830 billion at its peak. Many retailers are already jumping on the cryptocurrency bandwagon. Microsoft and Expedia now accept virtual currency, and a recent survey of 100 U.S. merchants found that 60% would accept cryptocurrency as payment. Bitcoins are purchases received and transferred using a crypto wallet. A crypto wallet is a software application that communicates with the blockchain network. The wallet does not actually hold the crypto coins. The crypto coins are stored on the blockchain general ledger. The wallet only stores your private key needed to transfer the Bitcoin. All wallets require two pieces of information: public address, private key. Your public address is used to identify an individual, you, on the cryptocurrency blockchain network. This address can also be called an account number. If someone has your public address, they can send you Bitcoins. If you have the private key, you can send others your Bitcoins. All coin keys are held in a third-party exchange until downloaded to your private wallet. Remember, the wallet does not hold the crypto coin. It only holds your public address and private keys. There are different types of cryptocurrency wallets.
So that concludes the technology demo on cryptocurrency. I hope it was very informative for people who are interested in learning more about cryptocurrency or the blockchain system. Moving on to the next section.
Now we're going to be interviewing our guest here today, Eric Larson. So hi, Eric. Can you briefly introduce yourselves and your background in information technology?
Hi, Tim. Hey, crew. My name is Eric Larson. I actually live in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'm on the East Coast talking to the West Coast today, and it's great to be here. I've worked for the last 10 years at CompTIA. We're the IT trade association. We're global. I work specifically for the charity that CompTIA started over 20 years ago called Creating IT Futures. And my deep background is journalism. So my approach in my career has been to help sort of translate technical topics for sort of the average person, which eventually led me to this nonprofit that actually helps bring more people who are new to tech into the field, getting them the skills that they need to be successful, whether they're starting out in middle school or high school, or if they've been in another field as an adult for a long time. So I sort of create and build programs, curriculum, and I really enjoy it, even though I'm not a technical person. I have a couple certs, but I'm not someone you're going to hire to like fix your computer. Okay. So I have more skills around journalistic skills and communication skills.
So you mentioned creating and developing these programs. And as the Senior Director of IT Futures Labs, what exactly are these programs about and their purposes?
So as I mentioned, we want to help people find their way. We want people to be able to discover an interest in tech and then to build their skills. Also, we want to diversify the field. So there's a real shortage of workers in general, but especially when you look at the tech workforce, it doesn't look like the workforce overall. Tech is one of the most upwardly mobile of fields. So it's really something that we want to give that opportunity to more people, right? So more people of color, more women of any race. We try to gear our programs to sort of identify those individuals who can make good use of a tech career.
And a part of learning and developing skills in this infrastructure, you need training curriculum. And I know you are also the lead creator of Prepare You, a soft skills training curriculum for tech workers, and are currently directing development of the Cyber Prep initiative, which is aimed at interesting more teens in tech careers, which helps diversify the field. How were you able to start and lead these programs?
So I'm glad you mentioned Prepare You, which is a soft skills curriculum. I'll start with that. Um, in about 2015, we took a look around and saw uh, when we were hearing from lots of CEOs that it wasn't the technical skills that were sort of holding people back from growing in the field. It was the soft skills, collaboration, teamwork, communication, dealing with stress, um, you know, directing other employees. These are the things that actually Google took a survey of its most successful employees and their supervisors, and what they found was that it wasn't the technical skills like being a great programmer, for example, that made one super successful at Google. It was these soft skills. Certainly, you need to have an awareness and, to some degree, an acumen for these different technical skills. But I think we tend to downplay soft skills in our schools, and when we're talking to young people about getting into tech, we tend to emphasize the technical, right? So let's emphasize these soft skills more. In terms of cyber prep is a program to really get young people geared towards tech, starting at an early age in middle school, and then develop that in high school with their first certification, which CompTIA owns, called IT Fundamentals Plus. So the whole point of that is to help young people move along the pathway. If you don't learn in middle school that you might be interested in tech, it's hard to imagine that person signing up for a course like IT Fundamentals. Or I heard some of you talking about A+, which is kudos to you all for attempting what is an industry certification, and could conceivably get you a job right out of high school, if or to work, while you work your way through school. So that it's getting young people on this path, and that's what my job is all about.
And a part of promoting these different soft skills, you even reached out to the public as a grant writer and now a channel features author, where you posted some articles on IT. Can you talk about some of these experiences and how it has fulfilled your cyber related goals?
Yeah, I'll very briefly just sort of lump those two things together, which is around developing one's writing skills. Okay, if you can develop your writing skills, you can have some success you ordinarily might not. It's on the web. It's an amazing way, obviously, to get information out to the world, to show your own credibility, to persuade, to engage and draw other people into into whatever you're trying to encourage them to do. So I would say that that's been one of my biggest skills is my writing, and don't undervalue that. If you're someone who likes to write, or someone who thinks that you can improve your skills, I would say absolutely focus on that, because it just opens up so many doors.
And I know this current COVID situation has taken a toll on a lot of us here, especially sending us to more digital platforms. And like you mentioned, being able to develop a good writing skill is good for these digital platforms. But how has it affected your line of work, this COVID situation? And what are some current implementations that you do to account for this situation?
Yeah, wow, COVID really threw everyone for a loop. I mean, um, especially I think teachers, anyone who's been used to being in a school building, and using all the props, physical props of teaching, to suddenly go online. What a sea change that was, and it really happened overnight. I was visiting a school in Kentucky, in Louisville, on March 13th. Um, and it was announced that night that those students would not be coming back to school on Monday. And that was the same for my kids back home in Raleigh. And that was the last work trip I took for 14 months. bam, any classes that were in bricks and mortar were suddenly online. So how do we adjust to that? By the same token, while we were learning that, we also saw an immense opportunity in that, which was to reach a lot more people. Before, we were sort of mostly focused on teaching people in certain cities. If someone was not blessed enough to live in that particular city, they went without our training. So now we could reach so many more people. In fact, we've been working with youth on an extracurricular basis with our tech ambassador program. And that's just opened up possibility for some kids who don't have transportation to get to an IT fundamentals course, for example, to get that first certification. Now they can. So we see the blessing and the curse of that. I think COVID, I wish it never happened, but what it did do is it did force some silver lining things to happen, which was force us to be more versatile in how we bring tech learning to people.
And over the course of developing those amazing programs that you've developed, I'm sure you have more thoughts planned out for the various programs that you're currently in. But where do you see yourselves in the future, and what goals do you have?
Yeah, thanks. So I mentioned the youth work. We definitely want to expand that. And especially, I know we have a lot of high schoolers here on this program. We would have more high schoolers learning tech if we did a better job, frankly, of evangelizing tech in the middle schools. So that's what we want to broaden over the next 3 years, is make a big push to understand middle schoolers better, understand how they engage with this kind of learning and programming, and do that. If we do that, we'll do our high school programs a big favor. By the same token, I've always said, and this sounds so cynical, but this is from my own experience, which is that college is where tech careers go to die. And I say that not to discourage people from going to college if they're interested in tech, but that so many young people are discouraged at college. They find out, I got to take 4 maths in college to work in computers. Well, we all know math is not all that when it comes to most tech careers. You just don't need all that math, but that tends to be the pedagogy of colleges. So what we want to do is look at, okay, where can we help that issue? And one area is in the 2-year colleges, quite frankly, in community colleges, students that maybe want to wait on a 4-year degree, or they can't afford a 4-year degree yet. They go to a 2-year, and let's make it more likely that they're going to graduate with a tech degree and they're going to be job ready. So I mentioned the soft skills piece. We're working with community colleges on that level. And we're going to be looking for other ways to make sure that we connect graduates of these programs with employers that are ready to take on someone and develop them right out of school, as opposed to just waiting for the person who has 5 years of experience or 3 years of experience. We think we can help on both ends of that, and that will help everyone in the middle too.
And you mentioned the various levels of experience of people, and there are many people in this audience that may be experienced with cybersecurity or are interested in what cybersecurity is. So what would you tell these students who are interested but maybe reluctant in pursuing cybersecurity as a career?
Glad to, and I'll keep this short and pointed, but I think it's really important. The important thing to keep in mind is don't get ahead of yourself. If you want a cyber career, it's rather rare that someone gets a lot of training in cyber and goes into their first job and it's a cyber job. That tends not to happen. And the reason that that's the case is cyber depends on so much knowledge, so much foundational knowledge. You have to really understand how computers work, and you have to understand really how networks work. And that takes time and it takes experience, because I can bet you the people who are trying to shut down pipelines and do all the nefarious things online, that you better believe they understand everything about computing and networks. So you have to match their knowledge, and that means it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Look at these lower level certifications that build on one another. They might not say cyber exactly, IT fundamentals, A+, network. They don't say cyber, but there's a lot of security knowledge within those certifications. I would say a fourth to a third are rife with cyber info, and so also you want to get a job doing something so that you will build the trust with your employer, so they will trust you with the information of their company to protect. Because if you're just off the street, they've never worked with you, why would they turn over their valuable information for you to protect, right? So you got to build that credibility, and that takes time. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. Get a wide foundational of knowledge. Start small in tech support. You'll move on to network admin. Then you can move into security at that point, and you've got a leg up on most everyone because you have a broad knowledge.
I wish we could talk longer, but sadly, this will be the end of our interview today. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming out to our K12 Cyber Show. You made many great advice and points.
Thank you, Timothy. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Now we will have Anna with opportunities in CompTIA certification.
Hi, so I'm going to be talking about CompTIA certifications as related to Mr. Larson. So CompTIA has 4 different certification pathways that you guys can pursue. These include core, infrastructure, cybersecurity, and additional career paths. And the basic CompTIA certification is A+. It's an entry-level certification that is generally earned by computer service technicians. And like Tim and Bethany were talking about, they have taken the test before and have passed and gotten the certification. In order to obtain a certification, an individual must pass an exam that demonstrates the individual's knowledge and skill in operating, installing, customizing, and maintaining computers. And as Timothy did say, and like I said earlier, a few of my friends have reflected on their experience taking the exam. The software part of the exam is actually really similar to Cyber Patriot. So for those of you who are involved in Cyber Patriot or maybe MPL or just cyber in that sense, may want to give that certification a shot. For those of you in middle school or high school looking to kind of buff your resume or just add a little bit to it, I definitely recommend that you give the A+ certification a try. The website to the CompTIA information will be posted on the blog afterwards. And you can also look into the different exams that you can take. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Anna, for these amazing opportunities. Hopefully our viewer will be able to take a certification test soon. Also, thank you so much for our astounding guest, Mr. Larson, for coming on this show. Time has flown by so quickly as this is our last show of the season. First off, we are very thankful to all the viewers who have been with us throughout this entire year. I had the privilege to work with an amazing cast who are all incredibly creative and committed. It truly would not have been possible without the help of Dr. Sands, Dr. Manson, Christine, our amazing hosts, Timothy, Sydney, Anna, Sky, Bethany, Jacob, Deja, Nusha, and our accomplished guests that star in our show. Most importantly, we're all appreciative of our viewers' support. However, don't be too sad that this is our last show because we will be having a second season this upcoming September. So to keep up with more information and updates, make sure to visit www.k12cybertalk.org, where you can access our blog posts and videos throughout the entire year. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to catch you this September. Stay cyber safe, everyone.